Okay, they can watch later. I did see a couple people were reading it,
Yeah,
but
that's good. Yeah, I've seen a bit of buzz about it.
yes. All right, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm Elise of Literally Elise, and welcome to Libronauts. We are a science fiction book club with a new science fiction book pick each and every month. We don't always do live shows, but we are always over on Fable for member discussions. So tonight we are joined by Jordan of Sorry Book Solid, and we're going to be discussing Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim. So, if you guys did read this, let us know what you rated it. And then while you're doing that, Jordan, if you want to give a little intro to yourself and then a spoiler-free synopsis of the book, that would be
Yeah,
great.
definitely. All right. Well, I'm Jordan. My channel is Sorry Booked Solid. I read a variety of genres. I like to stick with things that I consider to be realistic. So it's a lot of contemporary fiction, historical fiction, mystery thrillers, romance, and then I do really enjoy sci-fi, especially when it's something that I can like picture in real life and put
Mhm.
myself in the situation of. And yeah, I really like the sci-fi books that make you think. So I
Mhm.
would say this fell into that category for sure. Um, and then yeah, the synopsis of the book. So sublimation. This is an interesting one. So this is set in a world where people can have these things called instances, which is when your body essentially clones itself to have like two separate versions of you walking around the world. And this specifically happens when you immigrate from one country to another with no intention of returning, which is very specific and interesting. And we'll definitely
Mhm.
talk about like the implications of that and everything. But in this book, we follow mainly two perspectives of people who this has happened to. So, kind of four people all interacting and in different places. And then, yeah, there's some other technology that's introduced. There's some more kind of intricacies to this whole world where this is a reality. But it's really about that idea of like, what are the implications of this happening in the world? How do people react to this? How are people's lives affected when this happens because it's not their choice? Um, yeah,
Perfect.
that's what I would say about it.
Yes, yes. Were you surprised? So I always find it interesting when I hear about a book and I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. I want to read it. I get into it and it's kind of not at all what I expected. Did you
Yeah.
experience that with this one or?
Definitely. So, I mean, I had heard of this book multiple times, before it was published, and it very much sounded up my alley because, like I
Mhm,
said, sci-fi, that's thought-provoking. This one
mhm,
also did have that immigration element to it, which
mhm,
was super unique, not really something I'd read in a sci-fi book before. So, yeah, I knew I was interested in it, and then I did read the synopsis kind of before jumping back into it. And
mhm.
I do feel like the synopsis is a little bit different too from even what the book actually is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I found it a little bit slower and tougher to get into
Mhm,
than I was expecting from the synopsis. Made it feel a little bit more fast paced, in my opinion.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, I had a little bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the book picks this year for Libronauts have been like that. So
Shoot.
yeah.
Hard part about books is you
Yeah,
don't really know. You don't know
I
until you
know
read it.
it. I know it. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you again. In the neighborhood of 4 stars. Just finished it a few days ago, still mulling it over. Yeah, it kind of makes you think. There's
Yeah,
a lot to
there is a lot to
mull
mull over.
over for
Hmm.
sure.
Agreed.
Um, Let me see here. Okay, so you touched on this a little bit, but overall, what were your thoughts? What worked for you? What didn't?
Hmm.
You and I will keep our ratings until the very end. So without saying your
Hmm.
rating, but you can say
Hmm.
if you liked it, didn't like it, whatever.
Yeah. Um, okay. I was overall interested to
Hmm.
finish the book. Like I was intrigued the entire time. Like I
Hmm.
already said, the pace did feel a little bit slow to me, and it eventually got to the point where like the concept was a little bit more interesting to me than the plot itself. So
Yeah.
I wanted to keep reading it to find out more that I could about like how this works, why it works, how
Hmm.
it was affecting like the world and the different policies that are in place and things like
Hmm.
that. So like kind of the concept side of it and the logistics side of it, I was more interested in than these particular characters.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, I did read it really quickly, and it kept me invested enough to want to get to the end. So I was, yeah, I was intrigued. I wasn't necessarily like completely hooked on it or completely head over heels invested in the characters, but
Mhm.
the world was super intriguing. It was a unique novel concept, in my opinion. And it did have some interesting things to say, or that I was kind of trying to pick up about like life in Korea and
Mhm.
the idea of immigration, or like this happening to people going through immigration processes. So yeah, it and then it kept like new things kept being introduced, which was
Mhm.
also like interesting. It adds a little bit to like the confusion factor, but
Mhm.
also keeps it a little bit interesting and kind of on your toes with like the mitosis project that was
Mhm.
introduced and yeah, implications of that, and then how that was kind of another sort of moral quandary of the book is like the morals and ethics of a company introducing technology that can undo something that is otherwise seemingly natural in this
Mhm.
world. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How about
I
you?
think, yeah, I think I had very similar thoughts, especially in regards to not really necessarily caring too much about the characters. Definitely caring more about the technology behind this and the fact that this is a thing that happens in this world. And I did really like that we kind of got throughout the chapters the little blurbs about how this is handled in other countries or how it's been
Mhm.
handled historically. I thought
Mhm.
that was kind of cool. Um, I didn't really get like the arirang like portions of
Yeah.
I think it was some kind of like Korean folktale a little bit, but they
Mhm.
kept talking about how there's like different versions of it.
Mhm.
And so we kept getting like these different outcomes. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to piece this together. Like, how does this
Yeah.
really connect to the story? And
Yeah.
it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the biblical aspects, and like I'm not super religious, but
Mhm.
the biblical aspects were super interesting to me, especially the one saying that like Lucifer is an instance of God.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. That's like a
Mhm.
really cool
Yeah,
way to
that's
think
a
about that.
very that's a very original, like thought-provoking idea. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Other than that, I think I would have liked I'm always fascinated by like the technology aspect. So like when we
Mhm.
have something like this, the fact that people instance when they cross borders in a book, I like to learn about that as much as possible. And I
Mhm.
feel like we could have gotten more,
Mhm.
specifically like how it was discovered and how all of these policies were put into place. Because it's like it's
Yeah.
nice to know that it's been around forever, but like
Yeah, I could have used a lot more on like
yeah,
the not super historical, but yeah, like the more
yeah,
modern day history of
yeah,
like, what are you doing about this? Because they
yeah.
touched on it a little bit with the like talking about study abroad programs and how they like
Hmm.
reworked all of that because now this was affecting students, which is an unanswered question that we can get to later to me about like when this happens, when it doesn't.
Hmm.
Rules are not clear to me.
Yeah,
And then
same.
yeah, like what how does that actually affect things? And they were talking about
Hmm.
how also like some of the rules about passports that they
Hmm.
would do, and it was confusing to me that they treated them in that regard as like still the original person,
Hmm.
as an identity. And I'm like, so then you have so many just like uncharted people
Hmm.
that could be popping up all over the place. Also, then they can recombine at any
Yep.
time, and it's just like, how are you possibly keeping track of all of this?
Exactly. Yep. And then also too, like the Korean military requirement, how,
Yeah.
being separated kind of makes it so you don't have to do that, fulfill that
Mhm.
obligation. But if they
Mhm.
were to reintegrate, then they would have
Mhm.
to.
And yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do more on that, please.
Yeah.
That's the super interesting part.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Trying really hard not to have a coughing fit. Some of the pacing was off, but once the new tech was introduced, it took off. Yeah, I do agree. It definitely picked
Mhm.
up a little bit once we started learning about mitosis. Lots to chew on, especially with the parallels.
Yeah.
Didn't really like any of the main four-ish characters, but I felt like that was purposeful, highlighting concepts of individuality. Yeah, and I do find that interesting that like even though Soyoung and Rose and YJ and Eugen were the same person, they did feel like separate identities in a way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that was kind of cool. I liked
Mhm.
how that was done. So with each POV, we're kind of thrown into this second person
Mhm.
version.
Mhm.
Did that throw you off at all? Did it help with the experience of the story? Like, what were your thoughts?
I think it confused me more than it added to the story. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely supposed to give a little bit of that like unsettling kind of feel because a lot of the book is talking about how unsettling it is for these characters to have
Hmm.
this alternate version of themselves out there and like they know them because they are them, but
Hmm.
they don't know like what decisions they're making
Yeah.
and like what they're thinking in the current moment, and that is an unsettling feeling. So I
Hmm.
did get that vibe, but it did confuse me because it took me quite a while to like map which one was in which location
Hmm.
and like what, yeah, like who we were following and what their situation was
Yeah.
because of that like added layer of saying you and then like you are thinking about your instance named the other name.
Hmm.
So like you hear the name Rose a lot, but that's because you're in the other perspective here. So it was, I don't know, it added to the confusion for me and made me just like have to take a second and like literally like figure out in my mind who was where, who was
Yeah.
who, and like that kind of takes me out of the story a little bit. I would have preferred it to be, clearer.
Yeah.
But like I said, I did feel the vibe that I do think it was going for. So it's
Hmm.
not like I think it um, was done poorly. I just don't know that it like gave me more benefit than it did confusion.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I can totally see why they did it that way. Um, but honestly, once I got used to it, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
So it could have been third person and it wouldn't have made any difference to me. It could have been first person and it
Yeah.
would have made any difference to me. So it was an interesting choice though, because you don't see that very often
No,
in
definitely
novels.
not. And like, I think, um, um, where was I going with that? I think it just added to like the layers, kind of like made you even more removed from the characters
Yeah.
to also make it more confusing with the identities and like how they're similar and how they're different because you're not in their head hearing
Hmm.
the like unique thoughts of that
Hmm.
instance and then jumping over to the other one and hearing the unique, voice of the other person. It just made it removed enough so that you're
Yeah.
really like getting the idea that like these are the same people with slightly different circumstances
Hmm.
and it's all just very jumbled. um so
Yeah,
yeah.
very much so. I thought it was a clever use of second person to make the reader think about what it would be like. Definitely. Got confusing about who was where, especially on audio, until I looked at the chapters. Yeah, so I tandem read it with the audio and the physical,
Okay.
and I'm really glad that I did. Otherwise, I would have
Hmm.
been completely lost if I was like, I don't know, trying to figure out where I'm at in the book.
Yeah.
And there were certain things like towards the end. Oh, also too, we are talking spoilers at this point, guys. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't read, maybe click off at this point. Um, but at the very end, when Soyoung and Rose are trying to separate again, and YJ Eugen kind of interferes with that, and we have all four
Yeah.
listening to that part on audio. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, that was very cool.
That
That
was
was a
wild.
lot. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was
I'm
actually curious about that because I only listened to the audiobook. I didn't have the physical like with me. And
gotcha.
I actually had thought to myself, oh, I should look up that portion of the book in the written version to see what that
Hmm.
even looks like because obviously overlapping voices is not really something you can do in a
Yeah.
text version.
Yeah. They did it, like it looked like newspaper columns. So they were kind of like side by
Oh,
side.
okay, so they're like
Yeah.
parallel.
Yeah. Which
Oh, okay, yep, yep.
visually
I'm seeing it.
kind of makes that pretty cool too.
Yeah, and it even has a different like typeface for that part of
Hmm.
it too, which
Yep.
definitely differentiates that it's like a different feeling
Yeah,
voice. Cool.
for sure. So did you have a favorite POV of the four that we got to see?
I overall preferred the YJ Eugen
Okay.
characters,
Hmm.
mostly because I really liked toward the beginning of the book when either So Young or Rose was talking to one of them, and they were like, "What is it like talking to your instance?" Because
Hmm.
she was having an awkward kind of situation with hers.
Hmm.
And he was like, "It's just like a stream of consciousness. Like we, just talk like we're in each other's heads already." And
Hmm.
so from that moment, I thought that was really cool. And I liked just kind of seeing them interact um, more in sync because it
Hmm.
felt, I don't know, it felt like a more interesting version of this where like that's the cool part to think about is like what if
Hmm.
there was someone out there that like literally thought exactly like you, like their brain
Hmm.
was wired the same way, because sometimes you have family members that like are kind of like that you feel like you're on a wavelength with, and then your conversations are just kind of shorthand or inside
Hmm.
jokes and all that stuff, and that's very fun. So this is like that to the next level. I suppose like a twin would be even more of a next level kind of comparison for that, but I do not have a twin, so I don't know what
Yeah.
that's like. But yeah, so I just liked that like concept and the way my brain would kind of go down that rabbit hole
Hmm.
more. So I think that drew me to his storyline more
Hmm.
because I was like, okay, and then what's their story going to be? What's their kind of conflict going to be? So yeah, I'd say for that reason, I gravitated more towards him.
Hmm.
But yeah, but So Young Rose was still interesting. It's not like
Yeah.
I disliked theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually I didn't really think about that, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I think I do agree that it is kind of cool to see the difference there between, Soyoung and Rose. They ever since they instanced, they were not in contact at all
Hmm.
versus YJ and Eugen being, talking multiple times a week.
Yeah, and that
Um,
makes a lot of sense when you think
yeah.
about like you can do that kind of at any age, and of course
Hmm.
that would have an impact on like what your experience is like,
Hmm.
not only the age that it happens, but then the length of time that you're apart or you go without talking for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have thought a lot of thoughts about like what that would be like and like what that means for you as a person and your personality. But yeah,
Hmm.
it definitely made sense, but it was
Yeah.
interesting to see that contrast.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, I think overall YJ was probably my favorite. Um, More so because his involvement with mitosis. I was let down, but still hopeful that we would get more of that
Hmm.
technology aspect. But then I feel like he was kind of shut out from a lot of that information as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't get from it what I was hoping, but I think I still enjoyed his POV the
Yeah, you are
most.
most intrigued by
Yeah.
it.
I was curious to know what the mitosis weirdness looked like. Yeah. I wish we had more of it.
Yeah, a lot of it I am curious about
Yeah.
how what it looked like, how it literally worked.
Yeah. It sounded like when Soyoung Rose was doing the trial, it sounded kind of painful.
Hmm.
Like that experience. Like I just imagine
Yeah,
having
like
a horrible headache
yeah, very
going through
overstimulating.
that. Yeah. I like the YJ Eugen reintegration POV. The internal conflict they didn't expect was interesting. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that was climactic.
Yes. Um, okay, so in the very beginning, Soyoung is talking to, I can't remember if it's Yujin or Minsu, but somebody that
Hmm.
she is, has in Korea with her, on
Mhm.
whether or not reintegration is something that could be considered murder. So how did you answer that question? And as we read the book, did you change your mind at all?
I don't think I would quite call it murder
Hmm.
because, I mean, it starts with one person. It is going back to one person. So it's
Hmm.
not, I don't know, like the math equals out
Right.
that way anyway. And I'm a little fuzzy on the like what happens to memories and how that whole part of it works because it seems like you still maintain the dual memories and like the awareness of the two kind of identities now reintegrated back into one. So
Hmm.
for that reason, I also feel like you can't equivocate it to murder because you're not, I don't know, you're not removing the complete existence of that identity. I don't know. So I think that's very extreme to call it murder. Do I think that
Yeah.
like non-consensual reintegration is right in this situation? Probably not.
Right.
Like it
Right.
seems like it's very the fact that you only have to touch skin
Hmm.
is problematic.
Yeah.
Like that makes it way too easy to kind of accidentally do it. So yeah, I think murder is a bit extreme,
Yeah.
but still I do see like there's some ethical implications to reintegrating with somebody who doesn't want to.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's where I land with it.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I don't think there's really an easy way to answer it at all. Um, because I think depending on how close you are with your instance could make a difference.
Hmm.
And, the difference of whether you think it's murder versus the people that know you think it's murder. So, like, when Rose and Soyoung came, like, they reintegrated, they probably didn't think of it that way because they didn't really have a connection. Oh,
Sorry about that.
no, you're good. Since they didn't have like a relationship, they didn't really have that connection that was destroyed when they reintegrated.
Mm,
But for all the people that knew Rose in America, they might probably kind of see it
that's
as
true.
they lost somebody in a way.
Right. And like the more of an independent life you build,
Hmm.
then yeah, you are in a sense removing that or like the opportunity to continue
Right,
that.
right.
But again, that's where like I don't know, doesn't the like reintegrated person still know all those people and then be able
They
to
do, but it's like
it's
it's almost like
confusing.
it's impacted by the other
Okay,
person's.
sure.
So it's like I said,
It's obviously
there's
not the same.
no easy way to answer the
Yeah.
question. But then, like, from YJ and Eugen's perspective, having each other almost as if they are twins, and then to come together, unless they can have like a conversation in their head with each other, which I don't think,
Oh, yeah.
because then he'd like lost that connection with that external person.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's a tough one. I wouldn't rate it the same as murder. Going with the title Sublimation, I think it's more comparable to emotional assault for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially being forced into it involuntarily.
Yeah.
I think Soyoung was feeling guilty about wanting to reintegrate and exploring what that meant for Rose. I couldn't get a handle on how Rose really felt. Yeah, I feel like, I think overall, she initially didn't want to reintegrate and really didn't even want to go back to Korea. But I feel
Mhm.
like as the book went on, she became more okay with the idea.
Mhm.
So, but the fact that she was reintegrated without, well, no, wait. They agreed to, didn't they? Eventually, that they
Yeah,
agreed
because
to,
it did eventually get brought up and like yeah, because they had more of a discussion about it.
yeah, because
And there
YJ and Eugen, that one was involuntary.
yeah, and that was
Okay.
yeah, one side forcing it on the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, So Young Rose was like confusing for them because they were they were like, I don't know, I want to approach this, but now it's weird because of the grandfather
Yeah.
situation,
In the house
in the
and
house. Yep,
yeah.
everything like that. But it did eventually get brought up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah, I guess I still stand by that, that Rose was initially against it, initially against going back to Korea, but she definitely warmed up to the idea. I'm still mulling over the symbolism of the house. Yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on that? Or and Jordan, did you
Yeah,
really
no,
see
I'd
much
love to hear
symbolism?
more on that. I don't know that I thought of any
Yeah.
symbolism with the house.
Yeah.
I guess I was just thinking of the kind of surface level like drama and like kind of like hurt or just feelings that that
Hmm.
caused of like, huh, why did she get like the offer of the house and not
Hmm.
me? And like that being a weird, I mean, I can't even imagine in this world, like, what does this do to inheritances? Because that's
Yeah.
crazy. Of like,
That's
you know,
true.
you have
Yeah.
in your will to split between children, and then all of a sudden, like, some of them are have instances, some
Hmm.
don't. So then you split it again, and
Hmm.
then they reintegrate. So then they get assets combined. Like,
Hmm.
how does that work?
Right. And I think you could instance more than once, right?
I think so. Yeah, they were talking about that. Again, not super clear to me, but
Yeah. Like that Drew character with the
yeah,
mitosis company, I think. Like it sounded
yeah,
like he had versions of himself like all over the place.
yeah.
Whew. It kind of is like it's mind bending a little bit.
Well, yeah, and then it's like that absolutely would have like implications for like population type
Yes.
conversations.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
many,
Like
many
putting a
questions.
strain on systems that are already in place. But
Yeah, and
again,
like heavy immigration locations, which like
yeah.
already have a strain.
Hmm.
I don't know, it's just confusing because I'm not really sure how this affects like the decision to go somewhere new.
Right.
Because one thing it brings up to me is like, as I was reading this, I was thinking about like, when would I use a situation like this?
Hmm.
Probably when there was some opportunity in front of me and I was
Hmm.
like, well, I can try it out and have best of both worlds. Like, there's
Yeah.
no downside then to taking the risk of
Hmm.
immigrating somewhere because then that part of you gets to go try that out. You get to stay in your, you know, home country, which again, weird and confusing how that works and like what if you're in a dangerous situation? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but then yeah, like kind of compare, I guess, especially if that's the intention you go into it with. I'm thinking of like if the person who has an instance created, I assume then they both start out with the same mindset of like we're trying these two situations and then
Yeah.
we have the willingness to like stay in touch, see how it's
Hmm.
working out for us, and then like both would go into it with the intention of eventually reintegrating in
Hmm.
whichever situation is best.
Hmm.
um I forgot what got me onto this tangent, but I guess like the population stuff, but and how it
Yeah.
would like make it easier to make a decision like this, which probably would lead to more immigration,
Hmm.
which then would have a host of like issues and implications.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so since the grandfather gave it to Rose specifically and expressed a wish for them to reintegrate, and then all four wound up there at once, I think it might have been a symbol of coming to terms, oops, with how we all have so many different facets of personality. Okay,
Yeah, that is interesting.
yeah. It seemed to me the instance happened more if the person was of two minds about whether to move or not. Yeah, and there was,
Oh.
and you kind of mentioned this too, Jordan, that like the intention has to be there.
Mhm.
So, like, you said something about if they're trying to flee a dangerous situation, but they have no
Mhm.
intention of returning,
Mhm.
then technically I don't think they would instance.
Okay, I thought it was the opposite, to be honest.
Oh,
So maybe this is
okay.
a just misunderstanding because I thought it was like if you had no intention of returning, that's when you would have this happen.
Oh,
But maybe not because
maybe.
that like made me confused about the whole like study abroad situation of
Hmm.
like they're going there for an intentionally short-term situation, how would that mean
That's
that they would
true.
instance? Because you always know you're going to return. So that made me confused. But
Yeah.
if I just had that confused, then that makes more sense actually. So then, yeah, in your situation, what you're saying of like, yeah, if you're fleeing a dangerous situation, then you're just following your one track. But
I think
yeah.
you might be right, though. I think it is the other way around now that you say that, because when Eugen left Korea to go find YJ in America, he didn't instance again
Mm-hmm.
because he had every intention of returning to Korea. And
Right.
I remember thinking like, oh, okay, so if you're just trying to like travel abroad,
Mm-hmm.
like for a
Right. That
vacation,
wouldn't.
yeah. So then, so yeah, so how would people escape from like civil unrest in their
Yeah, it
country?
seems like you're definitely then like trapping
Yeah.
some people, but yeah, it's all just very confusing because they're not trapped. Or were there rules about like where you could and couldn't go? I feel like I remember some parts of the book where people were talking about like limitations about where they were physically able to go to, but I don't know.
Huh.
Just we
Yeah.
just have a list of questions about like,
We need to like write a letter to
excuse
the
me, what
author.
about, yeah, what about this situation? And I guess also the point of it is like it's not necessarily a black and white thing. Like
Yeah.
even the characters, like you kind of grow up with this like uncertainty around it of like you don't
Hmm.
know for a fact when it's going to happen and when it's going to not. So
Yeah.
that's tricky. Yeah, tricky to place any sort of like rules around it because
Hmm.
it's not just like very clear cut.
Yeah. And like it even talked about too with like little kids.
Yeah.
Um, like they had a really rare instance of like a 1-year-old instancing
Mhm. Mhm.
because she was aware enough
Yeah.
somehow
Yeah,
of
that
what
was
was
weird.
going on. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
God, I can't even imagine like the added layer of stress of parenting
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
world
Oh
like
no.
this. Like what?
Yes, I think that's kind of where we have to land there. It's metaphysical, not pure science, for sure.
Don't love that for my analytical brain, but okay.
Alrighty. As someone who has done study abroad, I can confirm that there are varying degrees of how much a
Hmm,
student thinks of it as a short-term thing versus testing out a new life. Okay,
yeah,
that makes
that's
sense.
great to know.
Excuse me. I think there was something about the ethics of trapping someone in a bad place. Yeah, and I wish I remembered more of that being talked about because
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
like
remember much
trying
at
to
all, but
pull it, but I can't. Lots to discuss on this,
yeah.
though.
I mean, as much as like I am not going to reread this book, it
Mhm.
would be an interesting book to reread with all of these questions kind of in mind. And if you
Yeah.
knew, okay, I did have answers to this, but like I wasn't ready to like understand
Hmm.
that yet until I understood some other things further on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this would definitely be a really good opportunity to like, because I usually for the book club picks, I will annotate, but
Mhm.
this one, for whatever reason, I decided not to. Um, but I think like upon reread, it would be a really good book to do
Yeah,
that
you'd probably
for.
get a few more answers
Yeah.
than you got the first time.
Yeah. Didn't they say they didn't know if their grandfather instanced when he left North Korea? So I didn't really follow that. Like I remember hearing about the like his past in regards to that,
Mhm.
but whether or not he instanced, I don't recall. It would make sense. Hmm. That would maybe answer some of our questions about wondering why he was trying so hard for So Young and Rose to re-instance.
Right.
And like
Mhm.
he did it in such a bribey way. Like I'm gonna tell one of them you need to re-instance, and I'm gonna give the other one the house. So the only way that the one that actually lives in Korea can have the house is by
Yeah.
re-instancing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and that
uh,
just kind of reinforces the like confusion of the whole thing of like you don't really have a way of knowing who anybody is.
right.
Like, are they an instance? Are they a
Hmm.
reintegrated instance?
Hmm.
Because obviously the whole portion of the book where like she's reintegrated and they're talking to people and they can tell they like don't know that
Hmm.
they're reintegrated, and that
Hmm.
just, oh gosh,
Yes.
confusing, confusing and terrifying.
Yeah. I was like kind of touched a little bit when Soyoung Rose was talking to Rose's mom. So like
Mm-hmm.
the instance of Soyoung's mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of said that she knew, like, I'm your
Mm.
mother, of course I know. But then
Yeah.
she ended up saying that the other mom told her. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you
So you
ruined that
didn't.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there any point in your life that you think you could have instanced, and what do you think your other self's life would be like at this point?
So I have done quite a bit of international travel, which as an adult, I don't think I would instance, with the understanding that like if you know you're going to return to your
Hmm.
life, you're not going to instance. So wouldn't have happened. But actually, when I was a kid, when I was in first grade, my family moved to Germany for a year.
Oh,
So I can
cool.
imagine a situation where my little first grade self wouldn't know how short or long term that was, and so I
Hmm.
guess that presents an opportunity to instance. Um, and yeah, what do I think my other self's life would be? Very different. Like living a life in Europe would be very different from
Hmm.
living a life in the Midwest United States. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I can't even, I guess my situation would probably end up a little bit more like So Young Roses, being that it would be like from childhood. Though, like, just so many questions. Like, how does it work if you go to the same place, you instance,
Hmm.
and then you're there together for a while? Well,
Hmm.
no. I guess my other one would be in the US. But then my family eventually moved back. So maybe I would instance again. So then there'd be three of me. Um, yeah, gosh, I don't know. But I guess it would probably end up a little bit more like So Young Roses, where like I probably wouldn't have been able to stay in touch. One, because I would have
Hmm.
been back when technology was not what it is now, and
Yeah.
two, I was a child. So yeah,
Hmm.
probably would have drifted pretty apart from like how I am now as an adult. And that makes me get into like the idea, the very existential question of like, what makes a person
Hmm.
them,
Hmm.
which is a question that comes up for me a lot when I read about books with like amnesia type
Hmm.
situations,
Yeah.
because it poses the question of like, I think, I think that like a person is made up of their experiences,
Hmm.
and like their memories are a
Hmm.
big part of a person. So in the case of like an amnesia situation, that really makes me think of like they're not the same person that they were when they get all of
Hmm.
those memories like cut out, um, which is, strange. And so I think in this situation, it's very the same of like they're not the same people. It would be very easy to turn out differently, I think.
Hmm.
And, that poses the whole like nature versus nurture question. And I guess in this world, you'd get a lot more of those answers because
Yeah.
you'd see how different people turned out, raised in different situations in different countries.
Hmm.
Um, but I just like I think I land on the side of like you would end up two different people, like very
Hmm.
distinctly, like probably have some different values, probably have some different beliefs, probably live your life differently.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, that's a strange thing to think about, that like I don't know. I don't really think that you are inherently who you are. I think you're shaped a lot by your experiences, and like your beliefs and values and things can change and
Hmm.
do change with what you go through. So I do think
Yeah.
I would end up like a completely different person if I was raised in a different country since birth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, I think I asked a question. Okay. Yeah, this one. On does the novel argue that we truly choose who we become or that our lives are dictated by borders, capitalism, circumstance? So, yeah, to what you
Yeah, that
said.
too. That too.
Yeah.
Definitely the like a lot less of our free will is like
Hmm.
free will than we think it is. A
Yeah.
lot of decisions are made for us, and a lot
Yeah.
of like beliefs are imposed upon us, like for good and bad. You
Hmm.
you get raised with different laws and customs
Hmm.
that again, you think are like your choice to believe, but like probably not,
Right.
because the people around you probably are similar, and that's probably because you are all raised the same way,
Yep.
in the same place. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a lot of that too, of like, you know, yeah, the the borders within which you live, and
Hmm.
the capitalism element definitely is interesting in this one with the technology piece and
Hmm.
the business side of something like this, where then it becomes not just an unexplained phenomenon that you have to deal with, but then a like a choice and a good or a service that can be like purchased or
Hmm.
you know, bestowed upon you with certain amounts of privilege or money or whatever. And that's, yeah, a totally different like conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, I found it interesting, like regarding this topic. Um, One of the times that Soyoung Rose is doing that trial, and we kind of get both thought processes of Rose and Soyoung. And it was very interesting to see the differences and like
Mm-hmm.
what Soyoung focused on versus what Rose focused on.
Mm,
And I did notice a number of things that Rose focused on that were more similar to things that I would focus on because we both grew up in the United States.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's a huge example of
Mm-hmm.
proving that this, you know,
Has a huge impact.
we are dictated by where we grow up and,
Yeah,
you know, what laws and cultures and everything are imposed upon us.
yeah,
Hmm.
totally.
So then for me, regarding
Mm-hmm.
if I would have ever instanced, I think probably like maybe back in college. And I don't know, maybe like two different situations. One, I kind of went through a phase where I I grew up in Michigan. I went to university in Michigan, but I really wanted to either move to Europe or specifically Western Europe, like France, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, um, or move out to the West Coast, Pacific Northwest. So probably
Mm-hmm.
in the Seattle area. There was like this naturopathic um, master's degree program out there, not
Cool.
like in Seattle, but like in a very close town. I can't remember the name of it. Um, but just like, I don't know. I was just obsessed. It was like very Asian inspired type medicine
Mm-hmm.
and treating ailments with, you know, proper nutrition and things like that. So yeah, I feel like maybe I could have instanced twice.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I do think like, what would my life be like if I would have done that?
Yeah, made the different decisions.
Yeah, instead of getting engaged like my last year of college and then 3 months after graduating, being pregnant with my first child, which kind of prevented me from doing either of those things. So, but it's
Yeah, super interesting.
yeah, kind of fun to think about sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't want to say sad because obviously I would never say that I regret, you know, starting a family.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like kind of wondering like what kind of person would I be like if I hadn't just
yeah.
had
This
babies?
is this type of situation where I actually love a book that like has a situation like that that's very
Mhm,
relatable and like a
mhm,
safe decision and a risky decision,
mhm.
or something like that, and it like totally proves that like whatever you didn't pick like goes to shit. So then it's like, okay, I made the right choice
Yep.
because this book showed me like actually what I thought was the greener grass on the other side. Like,
Mhm.
nope, it was not.
Yep.
Like it could blow up also. So okay,
Exactly.
I'm good with my choices.
Yep. Yep. Okay. A little behind on comments. I think we left off here. I think it's interesting that the concept of sublimation is barely mentioned at all. It made me wonder about dominance of personalities in instancing. Hmm.
Can't say I thought about that even a little bit. So
I, yeah,
super interesting.
I don't think I thought about that, but thinking about it now, like I think I would almost assume that like the original copy of the
Hmm.
person would be the
Hmm.
dominant one.
Yeah. Well, and didn't they say something about like, yeah, if you make a copy and then you reintegrate, like it treats the copy that was made as the new version. So then it like,
Oh,
gosh, I don't remember how it had talked about that or how that actually,
that yeah, that sounds familiar.
what that means.
Hmm.
Because like we're talking about if both like identities are still kind of there, but I guess if we're talking about like which one defaults to be the dominant in a reintegrated situation, I think it
Hmm.
was the new one. So
Interesting. Okay.
that maybe is related to this.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, super interesting if like just how, yeah, I guess how that affects like the decision to reintegrate, which I'm
Hmm.
guessing it does if that's a known part of it, is like, yeah, like how much would the one who got left behind, the old version,
Hmm.
like want to um, kind of absorb into
Hmm.
the new copy's life and vice versa.
Hmm.
So I feel like I remember that being something that was mentioned. I just am very not clear on what that actually means
Yeah.
for the reintegrated person. Like, in
Yeah.
what ways do you then default to the new copy?
Yeah. So with that in mind, if you were to instance, would you prefer to be the copy left behind or the copy that goes off to the new life?
I mean, probably the new life. Like, I think I'd
Hmm.
be more excited about it.
Same.
I don't think I, yeah, I don't know. The only thing that that makes me think of is like the devil you know or the devil you don't know type of situation of
Hmm.
like, again, if you go into instancing expecting to instance or wanting to instance and
Hmm.
knowing that like you're going to have that backup version like available, um, then like I could see that being kind of a comforting thing.
Yeah.
But I think in most cases, like you'd be more excited about whatever the new situation is.
Yeah.
And that being the reason you're like so set on not immediately coming back that you would instance.
Yeah.
So probably the new.
Yeah. Same. And then that kind of makes me wonder, like, how many situations are there where the original maybe has some resentment
Mm.
towards their
Yeah, probably and
instance?
probably for multiple reasons if that's
Yeah.
like the true too about the like then defaulting to the new thing. It's like not
Mhm.
only did I get left behind and I'm kind of trapped here in this old situation, but also anything that I like build now
Mhm.
or like do is gonna get eventually erased if we reintegrate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that for sure.
Okay, so this is in regards to instancing.
Hmm.
Okay, so French semester, not really, and not going to the London semester either, but going home from London would have been tricky. So you studied abroad in France? If you did, where about? I almost studied abroad in France, Angers, France, for French, for a summer, not like a school semester. So I'm curious. Let me know.
Cool.
Reminds me of that. Is that Stranger Things episode where they found a
Oh,
version of Riker who got, oh,
no,
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what this is.
I'm not sure what that is. And separate from travel, there are so many times when I had to make a big decision on what direction to go in life, and I often think about who I would be now if I had chosen differently. Yeah. What book? We read a book recently, recent-ish. It was sometime this year, um, that talked about, oh gosh, like having a big life decision where your life kind of like splits off.
Oh,
I don't remember what book that was.
I've definitely read a few like parallel universe books
Hmm.
before. I don't think I can think of anything where it's been like an intentional choice. I've
Hmm.
just, I think, read more of the like the character doesn't know, but this was a pivotal decision in their life. And so we get to see how the two versions play out, at least that I can think of. And that's obviously the more like typical
Hmm.
version of that. But
Yeah.
that sounds interesting.
My Real Children. No, not that one. I almost want to say Detour by Rob
Oh,
Hart and Jeff Rake.
I have that on my TBR. I have not read it though.
Yeah, we read it back in February, I want to say, of this year. Oh gosh, I just can't remember if that's the one or not. I don't remember. Whoops. Um, okay, she didn't read that one. The sequel is coming out, I think January or something.
Yeah,
Because a
I
lot of
know. I
us
need to
didn't.
read the first one before
Yeah. Oh, I'm
before
so
that.
excited. That was like, holy cow, one of my favorite discussions. Because I mean, this one's been pretty good too. Because like all the like what ifs and what does
What
this
if?
mean, and
How does this work?
that book kind of had a very similar. Like Jesse and
Mm.
I were just like, oh my gosh.
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. If I had married the mobster from the Persian Gulf, hey, he was really not. You've lived a life, girl.
Honestly.
Did a semester in tour in the Loire Valley. Okay. Okay, so that STTNG thing is Star Trek. I have not seen any Star Trek, so I'm
Yeah,
unfortunately not
me neither.
familiar with that. So, alrighty, where did we leave off? Instancing. Okay, and we already talked about that on if we'd prefer to be. Oh, so if you did instance, would you want to keep in touch with your original self and any other instances that you might have?
Yeah, anywhere, anytime, like into, young adulthood or adulthood, I think yes. I
Hmm.
think I'm, if I was old enough to be aware of the idea that this is a thing,
Hmm.
I think I would just, like, I'd be too aware of it to not, like, be expecting it
Hmm.
probably, and then would, yeah, definitely have that intention of
Yeah.
keeping in touch because I would absolutely be extremely curious about
Hmm.
how things turned out. Like, it's wild to like wrap your head around the fact that like it's you. Like, it's another level of like, I we all have people we like kind of keep tabs on and like
Hmm.
see how they're doing. And it's just again like a whole nother level to that of like me. Like
Hmm.
what am I doing in
Yeah.
another situation? That's wild. I would 100% want to know.
Yeah. Even like not even just for myself, but also especially if like my family did not instance with me and they're kind of still behind, like I'd want to make sure like how are they doing?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could keep in touch with them separately too, because it sounded like Rose maybe did that a little bit, I
Yeah.
think, even though her mom did go with her.
Yeah. Yet another thing I have more question like, are there times when like an entire family instances and like what happened? Like what is
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah.
like I'm just imagining like how they're talking about like at the airport and
Hmm.
stuff, how they would have areas for that. And I'm just like, that would be a crazy watching experience of like, sometimes it's, like expected and sort of wanted. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's like accidental. Like,
Hmm.
just imagine the range of like reactions.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what that would look like.
Or if like one member of the family was super against it for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and like maybe they didn't instance
Yeah.
when everybody else did, or something like
Yeah,
that.
I guess all the situations of like, yeah, if an
Hmm.
entire family does, how weird if
Hmm.
partial family does, or like a couple and like
Hmm.
there's a mismatch. Wild.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
even. And then there's the whole like instances like coupling up,
Hmm.
like the
Yeah.
original two people coupling up instances. Like that's oh, it's so weird. It's like the two sets of identical twins like that you
Yeah.
hear about who get married and then their children are like biological siblings. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Oh my gosh, that brings up another question. Them having kids.
Yeah. Yeah. What does this mean? What does any of this mean? How is any of this
Oh my
like
goodness.
well, because I also was already thinking of that with like the fact that both So Young and Rose had a mom,
Hmm.
but that's not their biological, like, that's not how they instanced. It's not because each of the moms had a daughter, like, the daughter's instanced and the mom's instanced.
Hmm.
So it's just a weird, like, weird relationship. Like, what if the moms, yeah, reintegrate, then you like lose the connection
Yeah.
of both sides? Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, very weird to think about how that affects like children and generations.
Yeah. Cause like, yeah, like say this is like another 10 years down the road and I kind of envisioned So Young being the one to like have a family versus Rose, probably
Yeah.
because she was engaged.
Yeah.
But like if she and Ty or Tay, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, got married, had a
Mhm.
kid,
Mhm.
would that technically also be Rose's kid?
Right. I mean,
It would,
biologically, yes. Like,
right.
yeah, the DNA. God, things get so messy. And like
Oh my
DNA, when you're
gosh.
talking about like crimes and then, yeah, just like
Hmm.
traceability,
Oh,
like you lose all of
yes.
that. You like lose the whole family tree
Hmm.
ability to trace your ancestry.
Hmm. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, I think it would be interesting to keep in touch. Yeah, for sure. And I would certainly keep in touch with my original self as well.
Hmm.
I'd hate to be a genealogist in this reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a headache.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so regarding any other unanswered questions, one that I did have, and I don't recall if it was brought up at all, is what happens if like one of them dies?
Yeah.
Like there's an accident or a murder or something, specifically the original. But I guess if you said
I
that the
guess
book
nothing
noted,
because,
but
sorry to
like,
interrupt you.
no, 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 that's fine.
Well, because that definitely happens, like, this has gone on for
It
so
would have
long,
to,
so, like, I
yeah.
guess nothing, and, like, because they also talked about how, like, instances can't talk telepathically, so,
Yeah.
like, they're not connected in that way, so it's not
Hmm.
like if one dies that, like, the other would feel anything or, like, I don't
Hmm.
think anything would really happen, you just lose the opportunity to obviously re-instance
Yeah.
in that case, I
Yeah.
guess.
Huh. And like regarding, because you said something about excuse me, like DNA, so like if a crime was committed. But I think I remember reading something about how I want to say it was YJ and Eugen saying like he knows that the other one wouldn't do that because he wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was that he was talking about, but something along
yeah,
those lines. So
yeah.
I feel like even if a crime was committed, it maybe wouldn't be a bad thing if the wrong instance
Yeah,
was,
it's like lock them both up anyway.
yeah.
Like you're
Because
both,
it's like,
even if you both didn't do it, you're both capable of doing
yeah.
that, and that's enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's really funny.
So yeah, what else? What other unanswered questions were there for you that we
Yeah,
didn't already talk about?
I mean, yeah, we've definitely talked about several, of course.
Hmm.
I just feel like so so I just kept thinking in this book, comparing it to The Measure, which I know you didn't have the same feelings about The Measure as I did, but what I loved about that book is like
Hmm.
my experience reading it was just I would read a little bit of it, they would mention something and it would spark a question. And I'd be
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I wonder how that affects medical triage or something or like
Hmm.
mass murders or something." Like it would
Hmm.
trigger this question of like, I wonder how that handles or
Hmm.
that they handle that in this world. And then like literally the next chapter, that's what it would be
They
about. It
answered
would like
it.
answer my question immediately. And that kept happening because that book was just so expansive and like
Hmm.
would explain the like logistical questions about how everyone was dealing with, the situation in that book. So
Hmm.
I found myself wanting that to happen in this book of like, okay, but wait, I have more questions about that.
Hmm.
Um, like whenever something would get kind of sparked in me. Um, Specifically though, other than what we talked about, I guess just with the um, mitosis
Hmm.
project, and like you were saying, like you were kind of excited and hoping that we'd get even more answers like with that technology.
Hmm.
Um, I think I definitely wanted to see a little bit more about, I guess, like how all of it, how every step of the process worked. And like
Hmm.
then specifically with the mitosis part of like it, because they kind of framed it like an annulment or something. Like you have to do it within a certain time. And like, again, I wanted to know like why that is. Like what happens with the reintegration process about how the instances kind of fuse and then um, like what does that mean to then split it apart?
Hmm.
Just like actually what's happening there in the reintegration process that needs to get undone with mitosis. So
Yeah.
yeah, very question yeah, a large amount of questions about more details about how exactly this is working.
Hmm.
And then the comment like the various administrative approaches to tracking this mess. Like literally how.
Yeah, this is definitely a situation where I would have appreciated a POV specifically from somebody like in, I don't know, that knew more about the mitosis project than what YJ was
Right.
permitted to know.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I feel like that's always missed in books. Like, what is that book? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. The one with like the dead bodies. It's like dead bodies, Tinder for dead bodies or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Mm,
Um, but like that book focused so much on the company and that technology and not on the practical usage of it,
right.
where we wanted to see more
The
of
people
people actually
affected.
using it and yeah,
Yeah.
and how that works. And then we've got this one where we see how it works, like from somebody that's involved in it personally, but
Hmm.
not the technology aspect of it, not the
Yeah.
company. It's
Yeah.
like, there just needs to be a happy medium.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, okay, let's see. Tons of questions. Also wondered about death, but I'm pretty sure nothing. Yeah, I think you guys are probably right as far as that goes because I mean, it's not like the other instance would miss anything
Right. I guess just it
because,
just again like brings up the question of like how are you tracking that then? Because
yeah.
like death records, like how are you like how do the authorities know if somebody is reintegrated or not if
Hmm.
like they don't tell anyone or there's
Hmm.
no record of any of that?
Hmm.
Yeah, it just gets very messy. So like in a situation like that of like a death record,
Hmm.
um, it just gets impossible to trace people.
Yeah. Because then, that person is marked as no longer living. And
Hmm.
then one of their instances that is still living kind of pops up. It's like, oh, no, still
Yeah,
alive.
or yeah, think of like all the nefarious uses you could do for that of like if somebody
Yeah.
instances and then doesn't like tell people, doesn't build a new life, but then somehow
Hmm.
uses that to their advantage of like,
Hmm.
I have this other person that, you can, I don't know if they end up dying and then you take over. I don't know what exactly the advantages of that, but like there's something there of
Yeah.
like the fact that it's not like regulated or
Hmm.
tracked when people either instance or reintegrate just invites a lot of opportunity for shady activities, especially since
Yes.
they specifically called out the thing of like you just use the old person's identification. It's like
Hmm.
what?
Hmm.
What do you
Yep.
mean?
Do they have the same fingerprints? Even identical twins have different fingerprints, but that's because of when they were formed in development of the fetus. So how does this impact crime investigation? Yeah, I would think it would be identical because
Yeah.
it is more of like a clone situation than like a twin
Yeah.
situation. Worked in criminal justice administration for a long time. This is a logistical nightmare. Yeah, no,
Yeah, it is. It
for
just
sure.
flat out is.
Yeah. That and genealogists. Those would be two of the hardest careers to have in this
Yeah.
world.
Well, and the fact that it's not like a new technology also makes me wish there was a little bit more about like,
Yeah.
could we have seen some more creative processes then that like the
Hmm.
world has adapted to
Hmm.
have because of this?
Hmm.
Because I could imagine like it'd be kind of fun to think up a new like way of tracking like and having identification for people of like
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know, having some sort of like unique identifier for
Hmm.
each person, like something that's required for you to have so that then when you have two bodies, like one the new copy has to figure out like has to go get their identification somehow and like
Hmm.
some sort of fun creative like description of that would have been really interesting to read, and then also would have helped me wrap my mind around it a lot rather than it just being like, yeah, we just use the old identification and like
Yeah.
it's not a problem, just trust
Yeah.
me. Like the
Yeah.
world's fine. Well, you're building this whole sci-fi world. Like,
Yeah.
can you give me a little something interesting with
Yeah.
the creative inventions that the world's governments have come up with since
Hmm.
this has been around forever?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would have liked to see more examples of it too. And one thing that I was thinking about is like when humans first, were a thing, the first time that somebody instanced, like, was there like, oh my God, what happened? Like, what is
Yeah,
this? But then we do get the little blurb about Adam and Eve,
right.
which from a, biblical standpoint, the intention there is like that was the first time that this happened. So I don't know.
Those parts lost me a little, to be honest. I'm not gonna I think I glossed over those a little bit. Same with like
Yeah.
the Odysseus
Hmm.
Odyssey parts of it. I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't know either of these
Yeah.
uh stories or ideologies enough to like be understanding what's going on here.
Right.
But that reminds me of like also very intriguing to think about like in history. Like this is all tied to countries and like
Hmm.
nations. And
Hmm.
so like borders are somewhat arbitrarily, decided by humans. And so,
That's true.
can we get some insight on like how does that work? If
Yeah.
like a new country is formed and they do the borders, like give us
Hmm.
something interesting there of like
Hmm.
some evolution of geography
Hmm.
and how that impacts things because
Hmm.
you make a good point of like the first time this happened or like I don't know how far like the first time a group of people said, no, we're a whole different country, or we're defining what a country is. And like,
Yep.
if you come to us, you have to become a citizen, or like
Hmm.
whatever. Like, that obviously was a progression of evolution. And so, yeah, that raises a lot of questions for sure about
Yeah.
like, of course, this had to have affected then like the forming of so many countries. Like,
Hmm.
I actually can imagine it would affect, I don't know which way it would go though, of like, would governments try to limit the amount of instancing and therefore reduce the number of countries and borders that there are to even cross to have this be a
Hmm.
thing? Or would people get more protective over their own space and
Hmm.
then therefore there be more like division of
Hmm.
countries and stuff? That for sure would be a thing. So
Yeah.
I would like to see how this affected all of this affected that in this author's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And then it also kind of makes you wonder when those borders are defined, like, is it like the people that are already there that then make up that country, or are the people that are already there technically instances of the people outside of that border?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, either way. And it's like none of this is that's what's also so fun about just sci-fi books in general. Is like none of this is real, so
yeah,
like there's no right answer to any of these
right.
questions, but like I would just like to see an answer or
Yes.
a depiction of an answer
Yeah,
so that I could understand how this might play out
yeah,
in those situations.
yeah. And I think I can't remember if it was one of the Odysseus um blurbs, which I found interesting considering the new
The
Odyssey movie
type
just
of
came out. I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
well,
I
okay.
know. Me too.
But I can't remember if it was that one or if it was a story about the fisherman or if it was the
Mhm.
Arirang thing, but one of those mentioned something about a river
Mm.
and like how his
Yeah.
family or his wife was on the other side of that river. And I think when he crossed the river, he instanced or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's technically a border too, I suppose. And
Right.
then there was also the guy in one of the office buildings
Oh, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it was like
yeah.
on lockdown or something. And like when
Yes,
he left a copy of himself behind. Who's like
yes.
stuck there forever now,
Yeah,
apparently.
that was super interesting and very, severance
Yeah.
coded.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah, so many further questions about situations like that because that's even more terrifying. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
now you don't even have to think about it when you're like leaving the country, but now you have to think about it anytime
Yeah.
you're doing anything.
Yeah.
Like everything's a border if you want it to
Right.
be.
Oh no, it makes me think of like toddler gates or something. Like if a toddler or a dog
Literally.
escaped over the gate, it's like, are there two of them now?
Yeah, that just makes me spiral and think about like Jack from The Incredibles and how he just like poof,
Right.
poof, poof, poof,
Right.
like all these different iterations start coming out.
Oh no. Was it limited to borders or did they just focus on borders because the character situation? Yeah, I think the primary is probably
Yeah,
like country
definitely
borders,
primary
but
and
yeah.
how it was like talking about all the airport locations and
Hmm.
things like that.
Yeah.
But then there were other situations too.
Yeah. Passports are relatively recent invention, so I would think they would have evolved completely differently.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
I would
Agreed.
imagine there would be a lot of things that would be
Be
different.
completely different for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I remember them discussing the division of Korea, but I don't know the history there well enough to understand that completely. Yeah, and I think that's when it's specifically talking about the grandpa's history, his past. Um, yeah, I do remember them talking about that, but I don't know if I wasn't paying close enough attention or what it
Yeah,
might be, but
yeah, I think I was.
so. Alrighty. So I was gonna ask, I usually do like, did you make a fan cast? And I was trying to think of a fan cast, but I'm like in my K-pop era right now. So I just kept picturing like members of ATs, and then I'd get on a
That's
tangent of
perfect.
like, oh, Mingy. And so
Yeah.
yeah. But did you fan cast anybody?
No, I definitely don't have enough
Hmm.
Korean actors or celebrities in my head to have tied any of them to the
Yeah.
characters.
So then what about books, movies, shows, games, anything that you would recommend either to people who liked this and want more of this type of thing, or if you're like, hey, this book maybe did it a little bit better,
Hmm.
what suggestions do you have?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I already kind of made the measure
Yep.
pitch of like I
Hmm.
think that book did it a little better. It's a completely different situation, but it's very
Hmm.
much a like global reality that the
Hmm.
world has to adjust to and that like showcases some different perspectives of people
Hmm.
in different situations within this new reality, and then you also get the view of like what governments are doing
Hmm.
and what businesses are doing and like what all these different industries and aspects of the world are doing in response to it. So I definitely just found myself thinking about that a lot,
Hmm.
but more related to like the specific um, like sci-fi element of this book. It made me think of The Merge. I don't know, have
Yes.
you read that book? Okay.
Yep. I was gonna bring that one
Yeah.
up.
Yep. So that is for sure the closest one, which is
Hmm.
where characters have opportunity to use this technology that allows two people to enter into one body and have both of
Hmm.
their consciousnesses kind of coexist within one.
Hmm.
And they talk about some different applications or situations where people might want to do that, like in
Hmm.
cases of terminal illness,
Hmm.
where one person, like their body is no longer inhabitable, so they, would merge with a family member, or like there was a case of one person was experiencing dementia, so they had
Hmm.
a kind of an experimental case of like, okay, well, if we merge, then do they see the same effects and stuff like that? So
Right.
definitely, um, that came up in my mind a lot
Hmm.
when thinking about the reintegration part of this book.
Yes.
So I'd recommend
Exactly.
that.
Yep. I'm glad you brought that up. But yes, that was one that I was
Yep.
thinking of as well. Any others that you had?
I didn't until I'm reading the comments about My Real Children, and they're saying a woman with dementia keeps remembering her other life after making a major life decision. It's never clear which set of children are real to her. That sounds super interesting, but that kind of makes me think of Recursion by Blake Crouch,
Mm-hmm.
which is different, but it kind of has to do with, I don't know, it's different, but like that comment, which sounds like it's similar to this book, kind of made me think of that book, which is similar to this one. But
Hmm.
I guess like dark matter is actually kind of similar in with the idea of like clones
Hmm.
and yeah, having like different iterations of your life play out, and then in that book getting to see or follow a character who's seeing the different options of his life play out.
Yeah.
So, and I love both of those books, so definitely high recommendations. But yeah, that comment kind of sparked that, which I was not previously thinking of.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that suggestion. Okay, so for me, definitely The Merge I was thinking of, and then regarding identity, and I bring this up for two separate reasons. So one of them is when Eugen goes to America to find YJ, he talks about how like weird it was for him that he like got off the plane and he's like, there's so many white people and there's so many brown people and there's so many black people. Like, this is the first time that I've been in a situation where there's people that look different than me. I'm not just surrounded by Asian people. And then also when we're getting the side by side thoughts of Rose and Soyoung when they're doing the mitosis trials, um, one of the things that Rose is focusing on is at university. Rose is the one in the United States. She's at university. She's like, I'm not just competing with, all the other students. I'm specifically competing with other Asian girls,
Mm-hmm.
other Asian female students that have similar skills to me. So those two things, that kind of topic of identity, specifically in America for I mean, in this instance, for people of Asian descent, but really for anyone that's not white, because there is that overwhelming population of whiteness, and then
Mm-hmm.
the, you know, other that is unfortunately a major topic
Mm-hmm.
in this country. So the identity that somebody from a different ancestry has, that sparked, oh gosh, what is it called? Boring Asian Female by Kanman Shu.
Oh,
I read that a
love
couple
it.
months ago, really enjoyed it. But there's so much of that, of, her identity as an Asian woman in America, and specifically in a university setting, that, when she's applying for universities or for grad programs, I think it was, because I think she's like trying to get into Harvard Law or something like that. Um, it's like somebody else took her spot and it was another Asian female.
Mm,
And so she's like, "Oh, so I'm just competing with people that look like
right,
me."
right,
So,
right, for the
yeah,
quota spot or whatever.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Mm-hmm.
for anyone that is interested in that topic, um, that would be a really good book to read.
Nice. Nice.
Um, Usually I can really pull like a movie or
Yeah,
even some games, but
yeah,
I can't really think of any
yeah. And I
for
mean,
this
this,
one.
like we were talking about, definitely spurs some, like reminding me of other books that have to do with like parallel universes or like
Yeah.
parallel lives.
Hmm.
But this one is just so different in that they
Hmm.
like are interacting with those. And like I said, I also can't think of anything else that
Hmm.
is like a direct comparison because that's so unique. But that
Hmm.
absolutely, like we're just talking about, like that also creates the like, challenges in that type of world because then you have to
Yeah.
solve for all these questions of what that means. And so maybe that's why there's
Hmm.
not so much
Yes.
much of that.
Yes, for sure. Okay. I love that movie. Yes, that's a really good one. Have you seen that, Jordan?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Should
Okay.
I?
Oh, it's pretty funny. I can't remember. It's been years since I've seen it, but basically like something happens or Michael Keaton has like access to this technology of some kind. So for some reason he keeps like cloning himself. And it's the funny thing is like with each progressive or with each clone, they like get progressively less and less okay in the head.
Yep.
So like by the time they get to the last one, he's pretty derpy. But it's funny. It's a good movie.
Nice.
But yeah, that's a good pull. Thank you. Okay, so Jordan, for you and I, what are your final thoughts and what did you rate the book?
Ugh, this is difficult because this was a good discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it solidified that like we don't have all the answers we would have liked, and that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it also solidifies that like it is such an interesting concept
Mm-hmm.
that like that in itself is enjoyable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm always a concept person. Like give me a good concept, I'll pick up the book. I don't care,
Mm-hmm.
what people are saying about it. I don't know. I just would like to explore whatever it is that has the super interesting concept. And my husband makes fun of me often for that, of like, just tell her a good concept, she's in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she
Yep.
doesn't need to know anything else. Um, so I'm a little conflicted, because I guess like the true rating of it, knowing that like I wasn't super invested in the characters, and also
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super satisfied by everything I
Mm-hmm.
got. Like it feels like the objective rating is a 2,
Mm-hmm.
but given my interest in the concept and like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it sparks a great discussion, I like. So I want to bump it up to like a 3. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
somewhere between that 2 to 3 range. I'll
Okay.
probably read some like Goodreads reviews or something and see if I can solidify a little bit more. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll call it like a 2.5 for now, which is again a little harsh given how like solid of a discussion it prompted. But
Yeah.
um yeah, is probably true because I don't think I would recommend this one because I'm not sure
Right.
who it would satisfy. Like, I'm not sure that someone who's interested in that concept
Mm-hmm.
would be satisfied by the execution of it. I
Mm-hmm.
also don't know then who else to recommend it to because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know that the characters are quite enough to recommend it to a character driven person. So, yeah, I just
Yeah.
feel like I don't know who I would recommend it to or if I would really recommend it to anybody. So for that reason, I guess also in the kind of 2.5-ish range probably feels right to me.
Yeah. I oh, okay, making a copy of a copy for that multiplicity movie. Yes.
Yeah, it just keeps getting like a little bit off, a little bit off.
Yes. 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 Um, I'm right there with you. I don't know. Initially I was like maybe 2.5. And then I kind of looked at my Fable ratings for the year, and I have some 2.5s that I think I enjoyed a little bit more. So I might
Mm.
do like 2.25. Because I think it deserves more than two. But yeah, I think ultimately it's not that I didn't enjoy this because I did want to pick it back up. Like I did want to keep
Yeah,
reading. And I think
yeah,
that's a good sign. So it's like if I dread picking a book back up, it's
yeah.
like, well, you're in the
Then you
1 star
know.
range. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
agree.
I, I don't know. I might think it over another because I only just finished it yesterday, but so I
Hmm.
might think it over for another day or so. Maybe read some Goodreads reviews, kind of like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
But yeah, so probably 2.25 to
Hmm.
2.5
Hmm.
is what I'm going with. And I know
Yep.
people have rated this higher than that. I think the
Yeah.
overall rating on Goodreads is like in the threes.
Hmm.
But actually over on Fable, one of the members rated it like 4.5, something
Hmm.
like that.
Good.
Um, so it would definitely work for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Good. Cool.
yeah. Okay, one more comment. Without the corporate espionage angle, I would have rated it lower. Okay, so that added
Yeah.
some intrigue for
Piqued your
you.
interest.
Yeah, that's good. Alrighty, awesome. Well, thank you to everyone that watched. To the oh no, what word am I trying to think of? The person that joined us in the comments.
Yeah.
Pregnancy brain. For those of you that don't know, I am having a baby in about 2 weeks, so there will not be a live show next month. But Libronauts will be reading Not With a Bang by Temi O. Where's my phone? I don't have a physical copy of the book, so I was just gonna pull it up on Goodreads real quick. I don't know if you can see
Yes.
that.
Love.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I don't remember the full synopsis, but something about the world ending, or there's like a celestial object heading towards Earth and how people deal with that. I really like those concepts, and I
Yeah.
think for the most part, it usually works for me. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Awesome.
Excited for this one. So Well, thank you, Jordan, for joining and
Absolutely.
reading this with us and the wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful discussion. So,
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
yes. Let me see. Sorry, there's another couple comments. Thanks for a great discussion. Well, thank you for joining. It was good to see you
Likewise.
again. Hope all goes well. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. And if you are watching later, feel free to answer any of the questions in the comments below, and we can certainly respond. But yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching this. And I guess we'll chat on Fable for next month. So, bye.